was 11 years old, I wrote a letter to my dear friend, Santa Claus. In this letter, I asked Santa for 3 very simple things. 1, to make everyone alive today be okay. 2, I asked him for a picture to prove that he was real. And 3, I asked him to ask my parents if I could be their accountant for 1 month. Well, Santa delivered. I'm an accountant, and I spent 20 years of my life in corporate America, and then just 4 years ago, I became the CEO of a large not-for-profit here in Chicago, so now I get to make sure that everyone alive today is okay. So Santa is awesome. And he's real. But what's interesting to me as I had this conversation about moving from corporate America to the not-for-profit sector, people would ask me why would I do such a thing? And it was so interesting because when I didn't respond to them right away, they would say, well, good, you're leaving corporate America, so now you can go do good. What's that about? What I saw, though, is that there is this narrative that we have that if you're working at a not-for-profit, that you're automatically doing good. But if you're working for a for-profit or corporate America, then not only are you not doing good, perhaps you're even doing bad and being an evil corporation. Well, this is problematic for me because I'm an accountant and I want to do good. And besides, if not-for-profits are the only ones doing good, then what the hell is everybody else doing? So for me, I really think about how in the United States we have so many resources. Only 7% of the economy are not-for-profits. Then we have 1/3 of our economy that's comprised of the government, but we have such great opportunity to engage the entire rest of our economy to do good. And the fact of the matter is, the challenges that we're facing in society are much too great to think that a small fraction of our economy can solve them all, whether we're talking about hunger, homelessness, poverty, racial and gender inequality. We have much too big problems to really only focus on 7% of our economy solving them. So we really have to evolve this mindset around doing good and what that looks like. When most folks think of doing good, they think about charity. And charity is good because we give to the needy, we give to the suffering. But the way I see it is that we really do have a possibility to even do more than just focus on giving what we have left over. Fortunately for us, we live in a great society, particularly in Chicago, where corporate social responsibility continues to be an evolving mindset. We see great volunteerism. We see people in corporations giving back to causes. And I like to think of this as more like charity plus, because you also, in some cases, get corporations that are really trying to figure out how they can do more good during their work. But that's why I think that there's great opportunity to actually stop thinking that it's just one or the other and really thinking about how we do good while we do our work. And this mindset is social enterprise. And we talk about it, we hear about social enterprise a little bit, but I like to think that there are really 3 strategies that we can focus on to really activate social enterprise. The first is social catalyst, and that's how we mobilize our customers to really think about how they can activate in a cause that's meaningful to the organization. The other is social innovation, which is where a company specifically focuses on solving a social issue as they're doing business. And then the last strategy is social value creation, where you have an organization really focused on leveraging every aspect of its business to advance all of its stakeholders. The good thing is that we are in Chicago, and Chicago has amazing examples of organizations and businesses that have a social enterprise mindset. Uber is an excellent example of social catalyst. So once a year, Uber uses their app and delivers puppies. And you think about puppies, that's a great thing, right? So what's happened is that as a result of them being a social catalyst and really mobilizing their customers, that we see 100% adoption rates of the puppies that are delivered. But not only does Uber deliver puppies, they also use their role as a social catalyst to actually advance legislation as it relates to ride sharing. You really see them mobilizing not only their drivers, but their riders to really create an overall voice and actually a movement amongst their constituents. The other company that I just adore here in Chicago is Rumi Spice. Now, Rumi Spice has an amazing story. The founders of Rumi are Afghan war veterans. And so what they did when they were over in Afghanistan, when they were deployed, what they realized as they were going through destroying poppy fields were these farmers that were growing poppy were not drug dealers. So the purpose, of course, was to reduce the production of opioids. But what they saw is that these farmers really needed to make another living, a way of making a living. And so what they did, they helped the farmers start to grow saffron. And what was awesome about this was that the saffron is actually more profitable than poppy, as well as they are the largest private employer of Afghan women. And this is such a great example of what's possible when a business really focuses on how it can create social good while it does its work. But social innovation is amazing, but I think that there's even more opportunities to really leverage every aspect of a business. Imagine that there's a business that has created more Black and Latino millionaires than any other economic entity because of its supply chain and franchise operations network. Imagine that this same business is a large employer of Black youth, which has typically been a demographic that has experienced a high unemployment rate. In 1 year, this business created over 50,000 jobs. Imagine that the same business was so committed to environmental sustainability and animal welfare that it made a pledge to get its 2 billion eggs from cage-free sources every single year. And once it did that, another 200 companies decided that they would all do the same because this business has an opportunity to absolutely move the industry. And if all of that wasn't enough, this same business is one of only 4 Fortune 500 companies that has a board of directors comprised of over 50% women and people of color. Well, we don't have to imagine because this business is McDonald's, and it's right here in our own backyard. McDonald's is an example of a corporation who absolutely leverages every aspect of its business to advance society throughout its entire value chain. So at the end of the day, for me, this discussion around who gets to do good and this narrative has absolutely got to change. And we need to completely throw out this dichotomy for good, and yes, pun intended, completely throw out this dichotomy. The fact is that we all have an opportunity to have a social enterprise mindset and really simply think about doing good as creating a better human experience from no matter where we are in the economy. Thank you.